The hidden cost of continuously adding ministries in our churches. We're talking about that today on the Church Revitalization Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast, brought to you by the Malphurs Group team, where each week we tackle important, actionable topics to help churches thrive. And now, here's your hosts, Scott Ball and A.J. Mathieu.
Welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast. My name is Scott Ball. I'm joined by my friend and co-host, A.J. Mathieu.
Let's go.
You know, they say there's no such thing as a bad idea, but the people who say that are the ones with, that's the worst idea.
That's the calling card of a guy with a bad idea.
Yeah, that's right. There's no such thing as bad ideas. Yes, there are. And, if you've been in ministry long enough, you've heard a few. People come up to you and go, I got an idea. We ought to start a fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just easier to say yes, but that's not a good idea. And in fact, there's this whole philosophy. I think this was really popular in the 90s, where it was like, when people come to you and they're jazzed about an idea, you got to just say, we're going to say yes. We're going to say yes, and we're going to empower people. And then now here we are 20 years later, 30 years later, and you have all of this calendar clutter. This person's got a $500 budget. This person's got a $700 budget. This person has no budget, but they're using the building every week, and you don't even know. So staff, they're burned out because you got to set up and tear down for all this stuff. Sometimes you got to lead people. It's draining your leaders because all of these things take volunteers. And so they're doing this when you'd rather than be a small group leader. People don't know. The congregation's confused. People don't know. What am I supposed to be doing? Is this a thing that's still happening? For all of these reasons, it's not good to just keep adding more ministries.
For sure. Yeah. And then you end up with the Malphurs Group coming into your church. And we're like, I can't believe you got all these ministries.
What are you doing? What's going on? What are we doing?
Yeah, definitely. We got to get a handle on this. It's easier in the long run to say no when you need to say no, and then to try to clean up messes later.
Yeah, but not all ideas are bad ideas. Sometimes people come to you with an idea and you go, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should. So today we're going to empower you with 3 questions that you can use as filters to sort out, is this something we should say yes to? And then we're also going to give you some advice on how to say no when you need to. But before we get into that, AJ, I've got something to tell you.
You do?
I do.
You have big news, do you?
Yeah. I'm pretending like you didn't already know this for podcast. This is, so play along.
Dramatic setup.
Yeah. We've got a new partner. I don't know, you want to call it an advertising partner? We don't really... Sponsor? Yeah. Listeners of this podcast know we don't have 15,000 ads. Mostly we just promote the Healthy Churches Toolkit.
Yeah.
Which you should go to. Yeah. Go to healthychurchestoolkit.com, free for 7 days. Check out all the new things that are happening there. But today we've got a new partner. It's something we've been talking with these folks for a while, just trying to time up when to start promoting this. But I love it. It's called Tap Connect. Can I tell you about it?
I would love to know more about Tap Connect.
Okay, Tap Connect. So every church wants to know the same thing. Who the heck is going here? Who's here? And how do we follow up with people really well? And many churches, the Connect cards don't get filled out, or they get lost. They go in, or no one follows up with them. People are falling through the cracks. Another problem is you don't know who's here on a Sunday morning. You actually may know more about the guests that are there than about the regular attenders, because you don't know how often. We had an episode on this a while back, like who actually goes to your church. Do people, and how often do they come? Do they come once a month? Do they come every week? We don't know. And Tap Connect fixes these problems. So this is something that's maybe a little bit different. I think people have probably seen these kinds of things. I've been to a lot of churches that now have the QR code or the NFC tap thing. But most of those, they just go to like a digital bulletin, or they go to a digital Connect card. And this is that and more. So here's how it works. Let me explain how it works. You, with any smartphone, doesn't matter what phone it is, you tap the thing or you scan the QR code. You can do either. And it's going to take you to a digital Connect card one time. One time you do that. And then after that, it's going to route you to the digital bulletin, or you can set up whatever you want the redirect to be. And then that information goes to the Tap Connect system, which is going to sync with Planning Center or Rock or Church Community Builder or whatever platform you're using. And if you don't use one of their integrating partners, then it's still going to be in the Tap Connect dashboard at least. But here's the difference. Here's the thing that I really like about Tap Connect, AJ, is that people can continually tap, like every week they come. So your regular members can also tap in, and that's going to start tracking attendance for you.
Yeah.
The other ones don't do this. It's just
awesome.
a guest thing. But I like that it's guests and ongoing people.
Yeah.
So you can just start building this habit. And it's actually going to help with your guests too. If they see everybody in the church tapping, hey, if you're here this week, don't forget tap. We want you tapping.
Don't be tapless.
Yeah.
Tap.
I don't think you should say that. Definitely not. But remember the old school passing the green book, passing the red book. And you sign in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you were a guest, you were like, this is what we do here. We're just filling the thing out. This is like that, but for the digital age, boom, everybody's tapping.
Yeah.
So you're gonna not miss guests and your members. You're gonna know who's there. I think
that's awesome. I mean, there's technology that enters the church, and sometimes it's like, I don't think we need that. It's not helpful. This is good technology coming into the church that's going to be helpful for leaders to have good information.
Yeah, and it remembers your IP address. I don't think I said this. So like the first time you tap, you have to fill out your information, but every other time you tap, you don't have to.
It knows it's you.
It knows it's you. It knows it's you. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, you should check that out. Go to tapconnect.church, tapconnect.church. You get 10% off any plan when you use TMG10. So TMG, the Malphurs Group, TMG 10 at checkout, 10%. TMG10, tapconnect.church, get 10% off. I wouldn't promote this because we really don't do sponsors. We get approached. We're probably leaving money on the table, AJ. Because people say, hey, will you promote this thing? And I'm like, no thanks.
Not good promoters. We don't promote well.
Well, I don't want to promote something that I don't think would actually be good. You know what I mean?
This is a useful tool. This fits in with our philosophy on having good information to make good decisions.
Yeah.
So
really love this.
Yeah.
Love it more than the other people who do the tap things. No offense to them.
Wow. That's getting harsh.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
Okay.
All right. That was a long intro. The other times we promote this, it probably won't be as long, but I just wanted to get all this information out. Tapconnect.church. Check it out.
All right. So we've got 3 questions on deciding whether we're going to add a ministry to our stable of ministries in the church. And so let's dive into this. The first question is the mission question going to be, does this align with our mission? And we talk about this when we're working with churches doing strategic envisioning. We talk about using your mission statement as a tool for decision making. This is how it gets put into practice. Billy Bob comes up with an awesome idea that he thinks is going to be perfect for the church, and we first filter
we should start a motorcycle ministry.
Okay, that sounds great. That sounds great that you like to do that, Billy Bob. Here's what we do, and we don't need to run through this with him. Maybe we will. We should first say, you know what? Hey, let me bring that back to the team, or maybe it's something you could just on the spot go, that's awful. Out away from me.
Depart.
But the mission question, okay? Our church should have a mission centered on the Great Commission in the church. It's the mandate Christ gave to us. Are we in this ministry going to either help introduce new people to Jesus, the evangelism aspect of the Great Commission, or is this new ministry going to help disciple people to obey the commands of Christ?
I think you could work through this with Billy Bob. So you could be like, hey, tell me about this motorcycle ministry. What's your how do you envision this working? Is this to reach out to new people who don't know the Lord at all? Or is this going to be like a Bible study? I don't know how you're going to do that on the motorcycles. And if it is for new people, are we sharing the gospel with them? How's that working? or is it just a hangout? Like, tell me about this. And
Well, I'll tell you here's what I'm thinking. Because there's a bunch of guys here at the church got bikes.
oh, you're Billy Bob now. Okay.
We
got
love
it.
to ride. We
Okay.
love riding.
Mm.
We're going to
Yeah.
get us some vests
Yep.
and we're going to put crosses on them.
Okay.
We're going to meet up here at the church.
The Lord's hogs.
We're meeting up here at the church. We're
God's
going to go ride.
hogs.
And we're riding.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I would say this probably doesn't pass filter number 1. So probably I don't even need to go to number 2 and number 3. Probably this would be an easy one for me to probably say no to. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes someone has a compelling idea. It's a really good thing. We want to start a prison ministry. We want to, we're going to go. Didn't Jesus say, visit the people in prison, whatever? So, some things are easy to not even pass question number 1. But question number 1, you're right. Does this align with our mission? Does it help us make or mature disciples?
Yeah. Gotta get past the mission first. All right. Our second question that it's going to need to work through is, does an existing ministry already accomplish this goal in the church? We do not need duplication or subtle differences between things. That really adds to confusion. When things are pretty close, but not quite, it's not helpful. So we either need to add something that's, pretty different because it's going to fill a gap, or we're going to have to say no to that because something else is close enough, or maybe we have something that maybe does need to be tweaked a little bit. It could improve slightly, but we don't need to add something if we could improve something slightly. Because,
right.
Launching a new ministry, Scott, takes a lot of energy. This communication process, just like it's turning a ship. These things that we've already have some engagement in something, and instead of maybe making a minor improvement to it, we're going to launch something wholly new, and now we've got to try to tell people why and how it's going to work and what's going to be different about it. That's a lot of energy to expend to start something new when we could have maybe made an incremental change to something that exists and leverage that momentum that we might already have.
Yeah. So, maybe Billy Bob, you go, hey, Billy Bob, I'm not sure that we have the bandwidth to add a whole new ministry, but what we do have is we've got fellowship groups, and, the way that those work is they meet, weekly for Bible study, and we've got curriculum for that we want you to go through. But if you'd like to lead a new fellowship group and you want to kind of target the bikers in the church, as well as those who are maybe people who are bikers who aren't connected to any church, and start a new fellowship group, and then just as part of your normal stuff, you also once a month plan rides as a group, that would be amazing, because now we've added a new leader, and it fits within our existing framework. We have these fellowship groups. There would be no reason to say no to something like that. But now we're integrating what Billy Bob wants to do into an existing ministry rather than starting a new ministry. Does that make sense? So that'd be a way to say yes that isn't adding a whole new layer of complexity.
Yeah. And since there wasn't the way Billy Bob described it earlier, not me, but Billy Bob, it didn't have any significant discipleship in it. So we might say, you know what, the monthly men's breakfast has been growing. We really love what's happening there. And I know, you and a lot of the guys that you're talking about aren't connecting there. We would love for you guys to start coming to the men's breakfast and make your ride happen after that. Maybe you'll end up picking up some other people that are like, oh, we didn't know that there was a bunch of guys that like to ride. So
that's another example. Yeah. Yep. Find a way to integrate rather than proliferate. How can we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The comparison of the eights. Our third question is, could this be more effective than a current secondary ministry? So this is the option that we were sort of chatting about here just a moment ago. Maybe something new would be better than something existing or old. And it would be better. Sometimes ministries have baggage, and in my previous example there, we've got something pretty close already. Maybe that isn't healthy. We've got something but it's has some negative things to it. It's maybe some old legacy things, and it would be better to start something new.
Yeah.
So yeah, could this be more effective than a current secondary ministry we have? Maybe we'll make a change.
Yeah, maybe someone comes to you with an outreach idea. Hey, I want to this an event or it's a program or it's a partnership, or maybe they come to you with some evangelism training that they feel has been really effective, and they go, "Man, this is really good stuff." And they come to you and you go, "Well, does this align with our mission?" Yeah, this is going to empower people. Let's take the example of evangelism training. And you look at it and go, "Yeah, this would help our people to share their faith more effectively." Does an existing ministry already accomplish this goal? A little bit, but this, it's not really working. The stuff we have is not really working. Is this new training that someone is bringing to you as an idea, could it be more effective than what we're doing right now for personal evangelism training? And the answer to that might be, yeah. There's maybe some evidence you'd go, yeah, this is better. This is an improvement upon what we're doing. So maybe we should try it out. We don't have to, yes doesn't have to be yes forever. I would encourage you to beta test things. Go, well, let's pilot this. Let's give this a shot. Let's see if this works. If this does seem to be better than what we're doing right now, then we can replace what we're doing. So, what we're trying to do is maybe replace something that's underperforming rather than add to.
Yeah.
So if we're going to say yes to something, that means we probably need to say no to something that we currently are saying yes to, and be replacing it. The exception to this might be your church is growing, and so you don't necessarily need to replace something. You might have room to just add something new because you've got the leadership bandwidth to do that. But there's a limit to that. And I think a lot of larger churches are in a bad habit of continuing to say yes to new things because they can. And they really would be better off by being more strategic about saying no. So I guess the filters don't exist to come up with a reason to say no. Is something I want to emphasize. Like, I think most of the time people are going to come to you with ideas that you're going to need to say no to, but not every time. Someone could come to you with an idea, and you should not, by default, be thinking, "I'm going to say no to this." The questions exist so that you might actually say yes to the right things.
Yeah. Let me give you a little bit of context for this in the way that we teach about healthy discipleship in the church. Every church should have a discipleship pathway. We recommend 3 to 5 steps in a pathway, but each step in a pathway only has one primary ministry. So we've got limited things that we're directing everyone in the church to participate in to maximize engagement in those. But there's space for what we call secondary ministries. And a good secondary ministry is going to be something that is a complement to the primary ministry in a really clear way. It may be something that is a step before it to help engage more people in the primary ministry, or it's a step after it in which maybe we can take the primary ministry's function and even go deeper with people. So we've got some other criteria that we use for that. But that's the general idea of a secondary ministry and how it relates to a discipleship pathway in the primary. So these are all, increasingly detailed, nuanced things to help make decisions about adding new ministries in the church.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so then let's talk about how do we say no? I do think that the majority of the time you're going to end up saying no because it really needs to pass not just one of these filters, but all 3.
Yeah.
Needs to get through all 3 of these filtering questions. And if it does, then it's a yes. But I would recommend you be cautious. Like, say yes on condition. Like, yeah, hey, let's try this and see if it gains some momentum. And if it does, then we can continue. But lots of times you're going to say no. And I know a lot of you are listening. You're like, I don't know how to say no. I don't know how to do this because I'm afraid that people will leave the church or they'll get mad or they'll cause a division or whatever. And I'm sorry. Congratulations. You're the leader. You have to learn how to say no. So here's how we do this. The first thing is affirm the heart. It probably took some, depending on the person, it may have taken some guts for them to come up to you and say, I have an idea. So the last thing you want to do is just totally crush them. And that might be why you're afraid to say no in the first place, but you can still affirm them. Hey, I love that you are passionate about this. So be sure that you affirm that. The second thing would be you need to redirect them. So, hey, you have a passion for this. I just want you to know here's an area in our church right now where we're already doing some work like this. We kind of already gave some examples of how you could redirect Billy Bob and go, hey, this thing that you have an idea for, here's a way that you could integrate that into what we're already doing. Um, so find a way for them to maybe use that passion in a way that aligns with the vision. And then finally, maybe offer a future path. So it could be, hey, we're not going to start the motorcycle ministry here, but if that's something that you want to do, we fully support you morally, like moral support. We're not going to financially support. It's not going to become a ministry, but I think that's incredible. You do that, or offer a future path. Hey, here's a way that you can integrate that into what we're already doing. Like find some way for them to express this in a healthy way, unless it's just an epically bad idea. And then maybe you might be doing them a favor by saying no. I guess I want to say one last thing on how to say no, AJ, then I'll let you kind of add. I think sometimes people come to us with ideas and they're not even sure how passionate about it they are. And so when you're an immediate yes to this, they're going to be involved with it depending on the person. They may be only involved with it for so long and then it just gets dumped on you. Like now you're carrying their vision forward and it was not your idea in the first place.
Yep.
And sometimes when you say no to somebody, they might just get over it. But if it's a real God dream that they have, then you saying no won't stop them. They'll figure out some way to do that some other way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to add a couple of additional elements to this. First of all, I don't think anybody should feel pressured to give an answer on the spot. I think it would be good to be thoughtful about it. So, hey, that's a great idea. Let me think about that. Let me talk about that with the team and come back to them after. So don't feel the pressure to respond. And the other thing is there's a lot of value in helping educate people about how decisions are made in the church. And this is something that should be transparent and open anyway. So feel free to come back when you come back. If you're going to be saying no, walk through. You can tell them, look, we've got some criteria for how we make decisions. You can even explain our mission, our discipleship pathway, how it would fit. We want to be great stewards of the resources in the church. And sometimes we have to say no to something good to continue to, or to say yes to something that's great, And so that would even be an element of kind of leadership development that you bring them into that process. Here's how we make decisions in our church. And so that they'll be able to tell others then, like, you know what, I didn't even know how they decided what we do, but now I know.
Right.
So it's a goodwill effort. It's a good training effort. So.
Yeah. So as we wrap up today, a couple quick things. I just want you to know that saying no to good things protects your ability to say yes to the best things.
Yeah.
And so you need to be able to know how to say no to things. Mm-hmm. And what we really want to empower you with today is a framework for how to say yes or no. Not just the mechanics of saying yes or no, but like, how do I decide what I should say yes to and what I should say no to? So we hope that this 3-question framework can be applicable in your context. And as you said, AJ, it really only works if you kind of have a discipleship pathway in place. The one, that you know what your mission is, and 2, that you know what your discipleship pathway is. Because if you don't have those things in place, then it's much harder to know what fits and what doesn't fit. If there's no structure to the way that you're living out the mission, then who's to say? And it would seem to an outsider or to someone in your church who's coming to you with an idea that your answer is completely arbitrary and maybe even personal. And the way to avoid that is to actually have a clear discipleship pathway. Here's what we do. Here's why we do it. And if you can't explain those things well, then I would encourage you to go to healthychurchestoolkit.com and go to malphursgroup.com. Listen to other podcasts that we have on this topic of discipleship pathway, but also getting into the Healthy Churches Toolkit and learn. We've got training in there on discipleship pathway. We have tools in the toolkit to help you build that out.
Highly recommended. And with that, make sure you also go visit our friends at Tap Connect. Go to tapconnect.church and check out how this amazing tool can help bring good information to make decisions in your church to keep doing what you do even better, making more disciples and teaching them everything that Christ commanded. That's what we're all about. We know you are too. Thanks for being with us on the Church Revitalization Podcast. We'll see you again next week.